Robert Moritz, Chairman of PriceWaterhouseCoopers. What a pleasure, sir.
It's great to see you again.
Good to see you in person.
Yes, very much so.
We are making it happen, isn't it? Yeah, you've been jet setting, shall I say, sir, over the past few months, trying to feel the pulse of the world. Now, what's your takeaway?
My takeaway is that the world economy is slowing down. That is obvious. But there's still many opportunities around the world, and each region is slightly different. The UK and Europe more broadly has a more acute challenge when you think about energy prices and inflation. But if you're sitting here in Asia, there's actually more opportunity. Even though things may slow down, there's still a growth opportunity when you look at the underlying demographics.
Yeah, indeed. We are talking about Asia Pacific, isn't it? This is such a diverse area. So what are some of the specific business opportunities you and your organization are looking at?
So first, we actually have to enable more trust. Trust amongst the consumers, amongst the employees, amongst the investor base, and with government and citizens. But second, we have to focus on a better outcome. Here in Asia-Pac, there's an opportunity. Supply chains is a great opportunity as you think about the support it will provide to the rest of the world. If we leverage technology, if we leverage the human capital that is very plentiful here and skilled, and if we bring ESG and climate to the changing supply chains to be fit for purpose going forward.
What about global governance in the area? Of course, that's going to have a direct impact on businesses. A G20 summit just wrapped up in the region, in fact. So they did manage to put forward a paper, something concrete. Now, what does that mean for businesses like yours?
Changes in policy, rules, and regulations that will be meaningful to accelerate economic growth, to change relevant to how business is done for purposes of climate and social responsibility, and to bring business and government together more so we can actually activate the specifics to get the outcomes we're looking for.
It's been a while that the business community has been complaining about global governance has not caught up with the development stages of the world. And now it seems that there are too much geopolitics in the air. So how would you, as a business leader, work with political leaders at this moment?
So first, you have to make sure that you have a very strong point of view of what could or should change, and engage with not only what that is, but why is that important. Important to the business community, but also important to the country, the citizens, and yes, our governments. But second is to make sure that we have a level of what I'll call common alignment of what we're trying to achieve. The SDGs and the like are a good guiding principle, but we have to get very specific now in terms of what needs to be done. The second thing I would say is that business cannot control everything, so they have to focus on what we can control and react to it very fast. Today's day is hard to predict with uncertainty and scenarios, so the best thing they can do is be faster in decision making and reduce bureaucracy and disconnects in their organizations to react for upside potential and protecting against downside risk.
But this is a very nuanced process, and that is why you're here at the APEC CEO Summit to discuss with the government officials and also the civil society. So, but the thing is short-term growth. Without that, society will be destabilized and everything will be difficult. So how do you see the short term and the longer term?
So short term, there is an opportunity, particularly here in Asia-Pac.
Be specific.
Specifically, you have a great group of people and human capital. Second is that group is digitally enabled.
Yeah.
And that's an opportunity when thinking about not only commerce in the countries, but also serving the rest of the world and managing and providing for their supply chain needs. And third is the regional opportunities to trade with one another and invest with one another. And that's a big advantage for this part of the world. The underlying demographics point to the need for us to serve a growing middle class in scale. And that's why this part of the world, I think, has tremendous opportunity for it if we can actually rewire and re-engineer our business opportunities to be fit for the future and not fit for the past.
What is needed for the future? Specifically about the supply chain, for example.
Specifically, you have to shore up your supply chains in terms of making sure you have focus on where there's weakness and need for redundancy. You have to mitigate concentration risk because, again, that resiliency point. You have to bring environment, climate into a changing supply chain very specifically. Otherwise, no one will want to use you. And that's very important for this part of the world to make that shift. And last but not least, use data more so. Data to enable a faster supply chain and data to make better decisions in country or in a company. Data, analytics, AI is going to be very important to the future supply chain that'll be fit for the future to serve society at large.
You see different countries are going through different development and particularly political cycles these days because people tend to look more inward when there are challenges outside. So, which means when you operate a global business, everything is so specific country-wise. It makes it so challenging. So with all the context you've been talking about, how to make the deliverables happen?
Yeah, so even in this part of the world, we see a lot of transition that's going to happen. We have stability now out of China, but the rest of the region and the individual countries will have some transition over the next few months and next year.
Yeah.
The reality is the business community and governments, though, have to continue to push ahead. So thinking about their business plans and scenarios of what may change and moving very quickly. What I mean by that is organizations today to be successful have to be resilient and very agile and be able to move with speed. If they see a change in policy, how do I mitigate my risk or take advantage of the opportunity? Right. And that could be amongst country and policymakers as much as it can be within their countries and the economics of what's happening. So there is big opportunity, and while you say there's many challenges, this part of the world actually is full of opportunities for those that want to go get them and have a focus in terms of what to execute on. They control their own destiny. They don't worry too much about what they can't control, but they will react to it very, very fast.
China is a player in the region, Asia Pacific. You see the announcement being made out of the CPC Party Congress talking about higher level of opening up. Now, that is really an exciting word for the business community. What are you expecting from the PriceWaterhouseCoopers perspective and also people you've been working with?
So first, it's great that we have both a understanding and certainty coming out of the party meetings and the conclusions that have been reached. And the world is encouraged by continuing that opening up. Now we need a level of specificity of what does that mean in terms of the rules and regulations to enable that to happen. So we're looking for more guidance and details, which will come. As we think about it from a PwC perspective, this is a big, important region, not only for the short term, but the long term. So we will continue to invest quite a bit to gain access to markets and bring capabilities and skills. It means more hiring for us, even in a slowing economy. We look for this business to actually double in the next few years because of those opportunities in helping enable trust and the sustained outcomes that countries and companies need to provide.
We have a very fluid situation, isn't it, Mr. Moritz? If you look at the Chinese economy, it's been slowing down for the past couple of months, and yet, as you said, long term, it is certainly the place to go. At the same time, you see the U.S. interest rates tend to be, some say, drastically higher. How do you analyze these two largest economies, which has been serving as engines of global growth?
First, I do think we have to step back and acknowledge the realities that while we've had geopolitical tension amongst those two countries, there's a huge dependency and interdependency.
Absolutely.
The amount of trade amongst them has actually been at a very, very high level. Second is the meetings that happened this past week actually, I think, gave a level of stability to now how do we work together more so, even in this challenging economy.
How would you term and describe this great transition apparently we are facing today? What would be the key words you would use to describe it?
While challenging, it's full of opportunity. And as long as management teams in government and business see that opportunity and execute against it, I think there is an ability to control your own destiny and not get so distracted by the other things that exist. And if organizations can move with speed, they, their employees, and their stakeholders, consumers, employees, and shareholders, will be equally as successful.
Robert Moritz, Global Chairman of PriceWaterhouseCoopers. Sir, always a pleasure.
Thank you very much.